Good Saturday afternoon. This is Micah Mitchell with Madison County Weather Updates. I'm still not feeling super spiffy, but I definitely got to keep you up to date on this impending winter storm. And this one is looking like the real deal. We haven't been hit like this in a very long time, at least since January 5th, 2014 storm. So this thing is looking pretty epic. And actually, I'm seeing some things with computer models that I've never seen in the time that I've dealt with computer models. But so I'll get into that. But this is looking like the real deal. So full transparency, here was my forecast. I had Madison County in a 5 to 9 inch snow band with 8 to 12 inches and really, some plus down in southern Indiana. But in the box that I had over here, I said if the gap between the two waves fills in faster, amounts go up. If it happens slower, amounts go down. That gap is already filling in. This thing is just getting itself organized, and that gap out to our southwest is already filling in, which means amounts go up. So this forecast really is probably underdone by 3 inches on the high and low end of all of these. So right now it is looking very much like at least an 8 to 12 inch snowfall across Madison County. And again, we may be closer to the high end of that. I'll show you what all the model data is doing. It's crazy. I've never seen this. Usually you've got at least a couple of models that disagree and kind of cast a little bit of doubt into it. But even the GFS that was an outlier all week long has suddenly come into alignment. So well, I'll show you that stuff real quick. Before I get to the models, here are the advisories that are out across the entire United States or across the United States, and look at the massive swath that this storm is affecting, all the way from out here in far eastern Arizona, far western Colorado, all the way across into Maine. And it's crazy how much of an area this is affecting. And of course, here in Indiana, Madison County is right here. We've got winter storm warnings all the way up to Lafayette, the Fort Wayne line, somewhere around that. Some advisories to the north of that. So this is a massive storm that's coming through. Still kind of double barreled. So I always kind of keep a little bit of caution in that. But it seems to be filling itself in and becoming one contiguous storm, and it's doing it really fast. So that's kind of what's given some validity to what some of these models are doing. And also the dry air that was on the lead edge of that, there will be a couple of hours where radar might show that we're getting snow and we're not. But as of almost an hour ago, imping reports were already showing snow reaching the ground as far east as Effingham, Illinois, which is probably a couple hours ahead of schedule, which means this thing is overcoming the dry air of the departing high pressure. It's overcoming it really fast. So that's again gives more credence to some of these higher totals. So at this range, you really want to use high resolution models more than the global data, but yeah, because the global data like the GFS and Euro and Canadian are lower resolution. But I just am putting the GFS on here because remember back maybe 3 days ago, GFS had us getting absolutely no snow. It was all down to southern Indiana, all the way down into northern Alabama, Mississippi, and this storm was being suppressed way south of us. I explained to you in previous videos how it was overdoing the strength of the high coming out of Canada by about 6 to 8 millibars. Well, that it's finally started to realize that it was overdoing that, and it's brought this track to the northwest. So now the GFS in the course of 3 days has gone from giving us no snow to giving us almost 14 inches. So that's kind of crazy. Here's the 12Z Euro. It's still in the process of loading, but this whole storm is contained within it. Again, it's got us up around 14 inches of snow, which would be a record uh, for a if it all happened within a single day. And the way the records are kept here in Anderson and most places are 7 a.m. to 7 a.m. instead of midnight to midnight. So that'll probably break the storm up. So it technically won't go down as a record. But for a single storm, it's that probably the blizzard of 78 is the only one that would exceed what this storm is potentially going to do. And of course, we won't have, the 50 to 70 mile per hour winds that we had with the blizzard of 78, thankfully. So, but we are still going to have some blowing and drifting issues. But the European kind of locked in a couple of days ago, and it really has not budged. I'm not going to go to the Canadian because it doesn't have a local view, but the Canadian also stayed pretty well locked in on where it wanted to be as well. So, the global data now is all speaking to each other. We'll look at some of the high resolution stuff. So here's the high resolution rapid refresh or HRRR model. And again, for Madison County, it's got about 11 inches up in northern Madison County, up around Elwood, Alexandria, Summitville, up to 13 inches down in southern Madison County around Markleville and Pendleton. So in Anderson and Muncie, kind of, of course, Muncie's Delaware County, but the line from about Noblesville to Anderson to Muncie, kind of by this model is the 12-inch cutoff line. So I mean, it's got the whole county right around a foot of snow. This is the HRRR model. Here's the NAM 3K. It's farther to the northwest with the heavy band. Actually brings the heaviest band right through here, and so it would give Indianapolis 14 inches, give Anderson and Muncie about 13 inches. This one would give northern parts of the county 13. Actually, the whole county, between 13 and 15 inches. So this is the NAM 3K. Here's the one that kind of blows my mind. That's the RRFS model. I believe this one's going to ultimately replace the GFS. But this model has been super stingy on these snow forecasts, and yet it is putting down, 16 inches of snow across the county and 18 inches down around Indianapolis. So, and with the heaviest swath still down around Bloomington to Columbus, somewhere around 20 inches. So, I mean, is that going to happen? I mean, it's got a spread in Madison County from 14 inches north to 18 inches south. Is that going to happen? It would absolutely be a record. But I don't think this is going to happen. But it just shows you that all of these models, every single one of them, is putting down crazy heavy snow. I mean, the lightest one we've seen, had was right around a foot. So I just wanted to show you these just to kind of give you an idea. So when I talk about my forecast from yesterday, and I'll just leave it alone, I'll leave it as is because it did have the caveat in here that if the gap between the two waves filled in faster, the amounts would go up, and that's exactly what's happening. So, like I said, on this, every one of these numbers add 3 inches to it, and that's probably a better range. So, probably again, probably 8 to 12 for Madison County, but I absolutely cannot rule out higher amounts. We picked up around a foot with that storm January 5th in 2014. And then the last time we actually had a blizzard, something to reach blizzard criteria was February 12th and 13th of 2007. And parts of, areas from Frankton, Alexandria, and Summitville picked up about 15 inches with that storm. So this is going to be up there with one of our biggest storms. Again, the double barrel nature of it, sometimes they can find a way to stick it to you, but man, this thing is just, it's coming together in a way. It's got such a large supply of moisture from the Gulf that's getting injected into this Arctic air and getting fluffed up. And yeah, it's just, I've never seen anything like this in model data. Like I said, there are always one or two that you can count on to be different from the others to give you some pause. And usually there's something I can see in water vapor or in actual instrument measurements. I'm not seeing anything. Nothing in balloon data, nothing in observations, nothing in the satellite imagery. Nothing is pointing to this thing busting. So right now, the timing of this is looking like it's probably the onset will be somewhere around 6 or 7 p.m. Will be when we'll probably start to see snow at least reaching the ground. Maybe once it starts to snow at a decent clip, it'll accumulate easily, obviously, because all the surfaces are cold. And so we can pick up, an inch or two before midnight, and then the bulk of the snow will fall overnight tonight into, through the afternoon tomorrow. It'll taper down some tomorrow evening, and then we can have a little bit linger even into Monday with a backside piece of energy that might come through and pull a little bit more snow through as that reinforcing Arctic air kicks in. So the temperatures, that brings me to what is really going to be a highly impactful part of this storm. The snow is the sexy thing to talk about. That's what everybody sees. But what we're going to feel is going to be the temperatures. And so we're going to be relatively balmy, hanging around, 10 degrees, overnight tonight, getting into the mid teens tomorrow during the day. Then here comes that reinforcing shot of Arctic air. Then, and the GFS runs that were suppressing the snow south had this air getting in here a day faster. So, but here comes the reinforcing cold air. So by the time we're hitting, this is about 1 a.m. on Monday. And by the time we reach 7 a.m. Monday morning, we're below zero. Monday, we likely will not see anything. The only time we'll be above zero will be just after midnight and be in the pre-dawn hours. But during the day on Monday, we will be below zero all day long. With that, by the time we're hitting the evening, we could be somewhere around 5, 6, 7 degrees below zero. I'm showing you the European because I think it's the only one that's really seeing the snowpack very well. So this is the core of the Arctic high pressure coming over. That'll be when the coldest temperatures occur. Will be, Monday afternoon through the wee hours of Tuesday. And so then that Arctic air, that core of it finally begins to move over. And then we come back above zero by Tuesday morning, but it's still right around zero. And then we'll warm into the teens probably on Tuesday. And even that, the Euro still might be too warm. So the other thing we'll take a look at then is going to be, let's get the wind chills here. Maybe I can't, I apparently can't see. So here's a look at our wind chills, this afternoon. I mean, we're hanging into single digits, so the wind chills are already right around zero to slightly below zero at times. Then as we go into the overnight hours tonight, they'll kind of still hang in the single digits below zero. Then as the wind will really begin to crank up tomorrow afternoon and evening ahead of that front, that's when the snow will begin to blow and a lot harder. We'll have some 20 to 30 mile per hour wind gusts, which can drop our visibility down to, a half a mile or less at times. So again, if you don't have to be out, do not be out. Some people seem to just want to go out and do stuff just to prove they can. And then you put other people at risk because you were out if they have to come rescue you or whatever. So, um, as we're getting in, here's 1 a.m. Monday. And then by the time we reach 7 a.m. Monday, we're with wind chills around 20 to 25 below zero. And then by the time we're getting into the late morning, we're right around 25 below zero, and the wind chills pretty much all day Monday. Here they're getting around 30 below by Monday, late Monday evening into the early hours of Tuesday before that finally begins to moderate some. So I would say anticipate one, if you still have stuff you need to do, get it done this afternoon before the snow starts falling. Because once it begins to accumulate, it's going to do it pretty easily. Again, probably an inch or two before midnight, and then it really will start to put it down. But plan on doing nothing but hanging out inside tomorrow. Um, Monday and Tuesday, I would bank on school closures, both for temperatures. Monday will be temperatures and snowfall because it's going to be difficult to keep the roads clear. Give your road crews some break on this thing because pre-treatment's really not going to do anything. They've gone and pre-treated a lot, but it's so cold, it's really not going to do anything. Snowfall rates will overwhelm that. As they come through and plow it, the wind's going to blow stuff right back shut. So give your road crews a break if your road's not open. Just plan on not going anywhere because it's just going to be too difficult to keep that stuff open. So I would plan on Monday and Tuesday at the very least, schools being closed. So I'm going to wrap it up from that. You know, I just wanted to make sure I covered these things with you, kind of showed you what was going on, and now all we can do is wait and see what it actually does. But like I said, I have never seen model agreement like what we're seeing on this. It's crazy. So, like I said, I'll leave my forecast the way I had it, but like I said, I would plan. I'm probably 3 inches too light on this at least. So, thank you to those of you who have recently donated to the page. Thank you to those of you who routinely support the page. Thank you so much to our page sponsors. And if you appreciate the information you've been getting, you've known this storm system was coming for almost 2 weeks. You've known that we need to watch for a storm around the 24th, 25th time frame. So this was no surprise to you. There are a couple more we need to watch late this month and early February before I think the pattern's going to chill out a little bit, but not get cold, but just not be so active. But if you appreciate all this information you get, check out the top of the Facebook page for the pinned post. It has all the information for all the different ways you can donate to the page or become a monthly subscriber on Patreon or through the website, or as same information is at the top of the X page. So this is Michael Mitchell with Madison County Weather Updates. Stay inside, stay safe, stay warm, and see you on the other side of this storm.